Y'all, today I'm going to show you how to make this incredible, and I mean incredible, gluten-free cinnamon roll focaccia. It is everything you could dream of in a sweet focaccia and then some. In fact, I told my husband it's probably in my top 10 of all the things I've ever made. It is that good and so addictive, you guys. It has all the flavors of a cinnamon roll in focaccia form. I know it sounds a little strange, but I'm telling you, it almost reminds me of a fritter, like an apple fritter. It almost has that fried texture on the outside, and then of course it's soft and fluffy on the inside. It's heavenly, you guys. So let's get into it and I'll show you how to make it. I'm starting with the dough, of course, and this is a slightly modified version of my original gluten-free focaccia dough. This is 540 grams of whole milk, and it's slightly warmed to about like 95 degrees. And then I'm adding to that 15 grams of whole psyllium husks. And I'm just going to give this a quick mix and let it sit for just a second. It doesn't need to like form a gel or anything like that, because most of my recipes don't include enough psyllium husks to form a gel. I don't like that texture of too much psyllium husks in a recipe, so I kind of hold back a little bit. And then I'm just going to start dumping all the rest of the ingredients in. So here I have 50 grams of granulated sugar, and then I've got 7 grams of instant yeast. This is 56 grams of butter that's been melted. And then my Kim's gluten-free bread flour blend, which is 455 grams. And finally, 4 grams or 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 10 grams of kosher salt. And I'm just going to get this on the mixer. You can do this with a handheld mixer with the dough hooks. Most handheld mixers these days do have dough hooks that come with them. I'm letting this go for about 5 minutes, y'all. But I'm going to scrape this into the middle of the bowl, and I'm going to cover it, and you can do it one of two ways. You can either let it rise on its own and then put it in the fridge for a couple of hours, or just put it directly into the fridge for like 3 hours. This recipe has brown butter in it. So I've made brown butter many times, and I'll just walk you through it real quick. This is 1 stick or a half a cup, which is 115 grams of butter that I've added to my skillet. You can do this in a small saucepan, it doesn't matter. I prefer to use a light skillet, but my light one, the only one I have, was dirty in the dishwasher, so this is the one I'm using. And we're gonna like kind of babysit it. The bubbles will start to foam up a little bit, and instead of being bubbles, they'll turn to basically foam, and that's when you know you're getting really close. Just constantly kind of move it around. Don't walk away. It can go from perfectly browned to burnt in a matter of seconds. And it just takes, this whole process takes about 5 minutes. As you can see, the bubbles are getting a little bigger and a little more like foamy. And that's because the milk solids are starting to separate and drop down to the bottom of the pan. And see how big the bubbles are now? And they're kind of fast. They're fast popping, and they're going to start slowing down. They won't make much of a sound. And that's when you know you are reaching the end. And this is where it starts turning foamy. You can't really see to the bottom of the skillet. So continuously move that butter around. you'll start to see little bits of brown coming through. See how it just peeks in, like swirls in? Your best indication of brown butter is your nose, actually. When you can smell it, that's the perfect time to remove it from the heat. And we're gonna pour this into a small bowl, and we're adding to this 1.5 or 1.5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, as well as 100 grams of light brown sugar, as well as a little squirt of vanilla extract. I'm using my vanilla bean paste because I have it, but just about a 1/4 teaspoon of either vanilla bean paste, vanilla extract, a vanilla bean scraped of the seeds, whatever. And just stir this up and set it aside temporarily. And now I've got this is about a 1/4 cup, which is 56 grams of butter that I've melted. Normally we would use olive oil to coat, but I'm using butter because this is a sweet variety. And I'm brushing it all over the bottom of my pan. This is a Lloyd pan that I bought specifically to make a gluten-free Detroit style pizza, which I have yet to do, but it will be coming. I want to say it's 10 by 14 inches, but you can definitely use a 9 by 13 inch pan because most people have that size. If your pan sticks at all, I would suggest lining it with parchment. And you'll see later on that I ended up switching to parchment. I forgot, and I didn't know if this pan was going to stick or not, because the last time I made this, I used a 9 by 13 inch pan. So I'm going to flatten this out slightly. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just putting a layer of the cinnamon filling on. And now take about half of this cinnamon filling and kind of scoop it all over the top. Then I like to get a brush out and actually brush it as far as I can all over the dough so every bit of this dough gets that filling. And this is just the filling. We're using the rest of it for the topping. So there are going to be options if there's a few sections left out. So now I'm going to fold it like a letter fold if you were laminating dough. And I'm using my little bench or bowl scraper to help that along. Then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and just start spreading it out again. And this time I want to be pretty consistent and spread it into all the corners as best I can. And if the dough starts tearing, as it will do because it's gluten-free, we don't have the same stretch, just kind of piece it back together as best you can and move on. Get it all in it like a single even layer. And this is where, y'all, I decided to transfer it to a sheet of parchment and then put it back in the pan. So you can decide whether you need the parchment or not. You know your pan's best. If they tend to stick, use the parchment. If they don't worry about it. The butter should be plenty. So I'm going to cover this and let it rise until it's about doubled in size. And as you can see, it's nice and bubbly. And we'll take the rest of that cinnamon sugar mixture and pour it over the top. And then do the same thing. Just use a brush to make sure it gets into every possible area, because this is where the magic happens, y'all. This is where it turns into this like crispy, crunchy topping that is so reminiscent to me of an apple fritter. For some reason, that texture, it's got like a crunch to the outside and then it's nice and soft on the inside. It just blew me away when I first made this. And I will be making an apple fritter variation sometime in the future, probably during apple season. We're also going to be dimpling it, so just use your clean hands and kind of press your fingers into it and all the way down to the bottom. We're going to bake this at 425 Fahrenheit for 18 to 23 minutes or so until it's crusty, golden brown, and heavenly. Now to make the glaze, it's 188 grams of powdered sugar along with 3 to 4 tablespoons or 45 to 60 grams of milk, a dash of cinnamon, and then just whisk it all up. It's a thin glaze, and we just pour it over the top of the really hot focaccia. Let it go into those holes and everywhere, and then I like to use my brush to get it further all over every single bit of this. And it just kind of melts in and creates this like crackly, crusty, donut-like texture. Let it cool for like 15 to 20 minutes. Serve it warm. You guys, I cannot say enough about this cinnamon roll focaccia. This is like cinnamon rolls without all the work. It's such a unique take on a focaccia and on that cinnamon roll flavor. The crunch is there. The flavor is definitely there. And see how soft it is and yet crackly on the outside. Like heavenly. Heavenly, y'all. You have to try and make this. It's so easy to make too, you guys. Enjoy.